I hope every woman and man out there who is a survivor hears my story, and I hope my story gives them courage to speak out. It has taken me a long time to get to this point, to come out publicly and speak my truth. I know a lot of you are probably wondering who I was, or if I even existed. I was afraid. I'm not afraid anymore. I do exist. I'm here to take back the power, take back control. I am a survivor of assault and harassment. Deshaun Watson is my assaulter and my harasser. Deshaun Watson assaulted and harassed me on March 30th, 2020, in my own home, doing what I love most, massage therapy. I am a licensed massage therapist. Now that profession that I love so much has been forever tainted. I'm deeply saddened, but not surprised to see so much victim blaming in the press and my online commenters. And they have absolutely no idea what I'm going through or what happened to me. No idea. This incident has impacted me in many ways, and those ways are hard to describe. I feel a range of emotions: guilt, embarrassment, shame, courage, anger, sadness, and numbness. Some days I feel like a hero, other days I feel like a failure. I replay the incident over and over in my head as if I'm trying to wake up from some horrible nightmare. Only that nightmare is real. I blame myself at times, which is insane. Society has groomed women to believe that it's their fault when they're harassed or assaulted, as if somehow we asked for it, or as if somehow we could have prevented it. I can no longer practice the profession that I love the most without shaking during a session. My hands shake whenever I place them on a client, and I've had to cut the session short. If you only knew how heartbreaking that is to me. I got into massage therapy to heal people. To heal their minds and bodies. To bring peace to their souls. Deshaun Watson has robbed me of that. He took that away from me. He tainted a profession in which I take enormous pride. Flashes of Watson's face rush to me in the moment. I think of his anus touching me, which sends me into a tailspin. I suffer from panic attacks, anxiety, and depression. I'm in counseling as a result of Deshaun Watson's actions. I hope he knows how much pain he's inflicted on me emotionally and physically. And I hope he knows how much pain he's inflicted on these other survivors. My father, who was once a diehard Texans fan, can no longer mention his name without turning red, seething with disappointment. I think that's the most heartbreaking aspect of it all. We were all deceived into thinking Deshaun Watson was a good guy. And unfortunately, we know that good guys can do terrible things. This incident is a part of me, but it's not all of me. I will not let Deshaun Watson define who I am. I will not let him win. He needs to be held accountable for his actions. I will not let him take my power away. I am stronger now, and I know who I am. People say that I'm doing this just for money. That is false. I come forward now so that Deshaun Watson does not assault another woman. And I come forward now in the hopes that no other human being will assault another in the future. I want to prevent this type of conduct. I come forward now to bring change in our society. I am seeking justice not just on behalf of myself, but for all survivors. I stand with you all. Is it about having my voice heard? This is about having other survivors' voices heard. My name is Ashley Solis, and I am a survivor. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley has provided a statement to the police, as have at least one other individual, perhaps more. I now want to introduce you to Rose Luna. I think Rose posted there. She is the CEO of the Texas Association Against Sexual Assault. This organization is a unifying voice to eliminate sexual violence in Texas. There is a statewide coalition of survivors, advocates, rape crisis centers, and allied professionals committed to fostering a culture that respects the fundamental rights and dignity of all. Rose, thanks for being here.
So can we move the mic over? Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for telling your story and being so brave. My name is Rose Luna, and I'm the CEO of the Texas Association Against Sexual Assault. We are the statewide coalition committed to ending sexual violence here in our great state of Texas. Again, we're a membership organization. We're comprised of law enforcement agencies, rape crisis centers, and other allied professionals across the state. But most importantly, we're comprised of a membership of sexual assault survivors. Why am I here? It's simple. It's to show solidarity and support for survivors of sexual assault. Not only the brave women who have disclosed to come forward in this particular situation, but equally as important for those survivors who are going to hear all of the messages as this grows bigger and bigger. They will be re-traumatized as they're subjected to the ongoing media coverage, the damning commentary, and inevitably the bombardment of victim-blaming responses. And that's what usually happens with high-profile cases. So I'm accustomed to these press conferences and the echo chambers of like advocates and law enforcement officers. We've never had this many press at our press conference. And although we are accustomed to high-profile cases, that's nothing new. But this one's a little different. This reaches a broader audience. This is an audience of sports fans. I myself am a sports fan. And all who share a love for the game. So my ask is this. I ask that you all reserve judgment and consider the following. In Texas, 1 in 5 men and 2 in 5 women have been sexually assaulted at some point in their lifetime. Over 90%, let me repeat that, over 90% did not report to law enforcement. This is not a law enforcement issue. Instead, this is an issue about how we respond to survivors when they come forward as a society. We have a long way to go in that. They would rather stay silent than to come forward to those who are supposed to help them. Sexual assault false reports are extremely rare. They are the same, though, as other felony crimes, but there is this misconception that a majority of those who come forward with sexual assault are lying. That is simply not true. Women of color are disproportionately affected by sexual violence and are less likely to disclose as compared to their counterparts. And also, sexual assault cases in the criminal justice system just do not mix. So we have 90% of those who are sexually assaulted in Texas that do not report to law enforcement. And then, so that subset of victims who do report, less than 7% make it all the way through the criminal justice system. And most of those plead out. But society will conflate a lack of a criminal justice disposition on whether or not that happened. That is simply not true. So the focus must remain on the assault rather than on the choices or anything about the survivors. Although the issue of sexual violence is serious and highly misunderstood, it is our hope that as more survivors speak up, their traumatic experience of sexual assault will not be trivialized, villainized, or minimized. I also want to recognize the Houston Area Women's Center. They are located here in the great city of Houston. They do amazing work. They provide free and confidential counseling to survivors of sexual assault, and I'd like to give that number, if I could please. If you are a sexual assault survivor in the city, please call 713-528-7273. There is also a live chat at hawk.org, HAWC.org, to have anonymity and to chat and process what's happening. There's also, if you're not from Houston and you're from across the state or across the country, there is a RAIN hotline, 1-800-656-HOPE. Thank you so much for your attention to this matter.
I'm now going to introduce you to Rachel Fisher. Rachel is a registered nurse with a Bachelor's of Science in Nursing. She specializes in forensic nursing and has been board certified by the Commission for Forensic Nursing Certification through the International Association of Forensic Nurses in adult and adolescent sexual assault, as well as pediatric sexual assault. She is an expert in the field of sexual assault and victim recovery as a legal advocate and an expert witness. She's also very active in fighting against human trafficking and sexual assault and heads Forensic Nursing Consulting and Education, LLC. Rachel.
Thank you for having me here. As many of you know, April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, so the timing of this is crucial. What I do for a career mainly is sexual assault nurse examinations, and I've treated thousands of victims of sexual assault and domestic violence. And when they come to me to the hospital, they give me a medical history of what they've been through. They go through a vigorous exam, a rape kit at many times if it's an acute exam, but they have to relive an experience, a traumatic experience that happened to them that they're finally able to come out and talk about. And in each of those exams, each patient, each victim is individualized and everyone responds differently. We see patients in the acute phase within the first 5 days and we collect evidence, but we also see a lot of chronic sexual assault cases that are disclosed years after many times, but they finally just want that healing. So they come to us for that medical treatment that they deserve and a chance to finally tell their story. And in many times, these delayed outcry cases, we see, especially in children, you see a child goes to school, somebody else tells their story, and then they come home and they tell their story, or they watch a video, because there's strength in numbers. When you're sexually assaulted, you feel so alone. There's been studies done on sexual assault survivors that don't report for a variety of reasons. The first one being a fear of self-blame. They blame themselves for not being big enough, not being strong enough to stop it. When that traumatic event happens, they go into a traumatic neurobiological response of flight, fight, or freeze, and many freeze. The traumatic event happens, and there's nothing they could have done about it, and they blame themselves for not being strong enough to stop it. And the second one is fear of retaliation from the community, from their families, from the abuser, and fear for their safety of what if they do report, and what if the criminal justice system does fail them? What if their perpetrator does not get prosecuted, which unfortunately that happens in many of these cases, and that leaves them very afraid for what's going to happen next. And those are many of the reasons that they don't. So the moment in their life that they come to a spot where they feel that they're not alone, that other people are in this fight with them, and that what happened to them in that room, where it's just a he said, she said, and all they feel is their own pain of what they experienced, when they realize that they're not alone in that, and other people have experienced that too, they finally have the strength to come forward and say, me too. And they're not alone. They're surrounded by support in a community. And that's what we offer them. We offer them advocacy. We offer them places like the Houston Area Women's Center, an advocate to come to the hospital, to walk them through the process and to explain the court process to them. And many times they still don't want to go through the court process because it's scary. It's expensive. There's a lot of fees that they don't have. It's a long, drawn-out process that they have to relive that over and over again. So the possibility of a civil case versus a criminal case, many choose to do civil because that gives them the autonomy, the power and control that was taken from them in that moment of their victimization. They now have the power and control back. They have their voice back, and they have the autonomy to be in control of their own case, to determine the outcome of what they want to happen specifically in their case, that they have that power back. And that's what we encourage victims to do, is take back that power and control, take back that autonomy, and to fight. And for any victim that's out there, you're not alone. There is support. There's communities out there to support you in this, whether you decide to go civil, criminal, whatever it is you decide to do, or if you don't decide to report, you're not alone in it, but your pain is still valid. You know what happened. You have to live with that for the rest of your life, but you're not alone in that. So keep fighting. Fight for you, fight for your healing, and fight for justice.
I want to now introduce you to Dr. Nisi Hamilton. Nisi is a survivor. She's also a political activist. She's an award-winning human trafficking expert, activist, and survivor with 5 years of experience and multicultural background, committed to encouraging diversity and inclusion and making a difference. She's a proud owner of a for-profit organization named Survivor's Voice of Victory. Her mission is to raise awareness in communities and give young African American women, girls and women, a safe space to practice reporting to lead them to safety. Izzy?
I would like to start off by honoring God for this press conference. And then I would like to say, I want to honor Tony Buzbee for his heroism in human trafficking. Even as a leading expert, I can tell you that demand suppression is important. And he fights that. And that's what I love about the Tony Buzbee law firm. That's what I love about Cornelia.
This has been here to him.
They fight.
It's in the 62 media.
This is a fight.
Let
me help you
you're
understand.
watching the same thing I'm watching. Are you all going to issue a statement? Okay, yeah. Let me know. Appreciate it. Okay, all right. Thanks. Yeah. See ya.
But what I do know is just from the information I have alone, just from the testimonies alone from these 21 women, I am appalled. I am embarrassed for them. I am sick to my stomach that we are still allowing constricted prostitution. Whether it's public or private, prostitution is illegal. And we cannot allow these type of instances, whether it be of a wealthy empire or not, to continue in Houston. Tony Buzbee is my own attorney, and he's also represented me in my own human trafficking case against some very elite trafficking groups. That was very hard. It was very difficult. I too stand with these women. I do too stand with Cornelia in the fight for their rights, the fight for their voice to be heard. We should not be hiring people to do one job only to allow them to come in and to practice something else other than. The penal code doesn't allow it. Tony Buzbee doesn't stand for it. Cornelia doesn't stand for it. I, as an expert in human trafficking, sexual assault, and domestic violence, do not stand for this. I'm wondering if we as Americans in the city of Houston are going to stand for this and allow this type of sexual behavior, this type of sexual deviance to continue. My name is Dr. Nisi Hamilton. That is a street name of mine because the community respects that I have to be the eyes and the ears for the people who are not allowed to have the seat at the table, whose voices can't be heard because they are afraid. I like what Rachel said. She is so spot on. This month is April. It is Child Abuse Awareness Month, and we must be sensitive. Sensitive, not desensitized, sensitive to the arena of the amount of sexual exploitation that goes on, not just with our children, but with adult women. I don't care if you come from a poor background and you're pimping on a lower level, or if you come from a wealthy background and you're pimping on a high level, on an elite level. It's not acceptable. The behavior is not acceptable. I stand with this team. I stand with those 21 women who were victimized, who were afraid to come forward and explain themselves, to tell you guys their stories. That means that they have to open their lives up to the world for a very long time, and that's no easy deficit. I love Tony and his work. And I'm proud. I'm proud of these 21 women. And I pray that you guys, without judgment, receive their testimonies, receive them, receive the Tony Buzbee law firm, receive me as an expert and a witness to human trafficking and sexual assault. Thank you.
Now that you've heard from some of the people involved, I want to give you an update on the case. 22 women have now filed suit against Deshaun Watson. The pleadings speak for themselves. We turned away approximately 5 women who we did not believe we could sustain a case for, but they were also massage therapists for Deshaun Watson. Each of the cases describes a strikingly similar pattern of behavior. Watson reaches out to women on social media, particularly Instagram. He asks for a massage, even though some of these women were not massage therapists and were doing other types of work, but he specifically asked for a massage. And when they say, I don't do massages, he asks them, well, can you do a massage? Watson arranges the appointment on social media, again, particularly Instagram. He repeatedly insists that the woman be alone, citing privacy concerns. And in some cases, he even dictates that what he wants the particular woman to wear. In some cases, he takes pictures of a particular woman from Instagram and sends it to her and says, wear something like this because it's hot today, or it's hot in Houston. He insists repeatedly, even when told that it's not normal, to use a towel for cover. In most cases, he insists on bringing his own towel. What the towel is instead is a small washcloth. In some cases, he asks the woman to sign a non-disclosure agreement before the session. And in some cases, he asks the woman to sign the non-disclosure agreement after the session. 2 of the women who have come forward reside in Georgia. 1 is from California. 1 is from Arizona. And the rest are in the Houston area. At least 2 have made formal complaints with the Houston Police Department without my personal involvement. 15 are African American women. 4 are white. 3 are Hispanic. The cases allege either civil assault or intentional infliction of emotional distress, or both. Most of the cases involve Watson exposing himself repeatedly, attempting to either touch or touching the women with his hands and penis. Some of the conduct, as you've seen from the pleadings, went much further than that. Today we have some documents to hand out to you. I've organized these in packages. Package number 1 are direct messages on Instagram from Deshaun Watson to one of the plaintiffs in this case, where they began to talk about him asking for a massage therapist from a previous massage therapist and telling her before he would agree on one that he needs to see her picture and her pictures on Instagram. That's packet number 1. Packet number 2. And these are all arranged that way, and we'll put them online that way as well. Package number 2 is where Deshaun Watson reaches out to a woman in Atlanta, Georgia, while he's in Houston. Hear what I'm saying. He reaches out to a woman via direct message on Instagram who's located in Atlanta, Georgia. He does this while he's in Houston. He asks her for a massage. He tells her he'll fly her in. He buys her a plane ticket. He arranges for her Uber from the airport. He Ubers her to the Houstonian. She says, I don't have a table. I'm not bringing a table with me. He says, I'll borrow one from the team. He borrows a table from the Houston Texans. He does this many different times in these massage instances. In some cases, he asks them, can you just massage me on the bed? When they insist on the table, he borrows it from the Houston Texans. In some of these instances, we know that it was personnel from the Houston Texans who made the referral, who helped him arrange the massage. That's packet 2. Packet 3 is a copy of the non-disclosure agreement. As best I can tell, because it certainly doesn't look like a lawyer did it, but it's a non-disclosure agreement that was, in one case, emailed, in another case, sent by direct message, discussed multiple times in direct messages, where he either, again, asked before or after that the massage therapist signed the non-disclosure agreement. That's package number 3. Package number 4 are tweets from as far back as 2012. Deshaun Watson talks about massages. Specifically, January 2012, he says, that massage I got from the girls in the student section right before I got called out to play with an exclamation point. Package number 5 Package number 5 is a series of direct messages where one of the massage therapists reports to her boss or coworker her interaction with Deshaun Watson and her shock and dismay and frustration and bewilderment and humiliation about his conduct. This woman direct messages another woman who had set up the massage, and she says, I quote, "I normally am the one who coordinates his therapist when I can make it. So I'm very close to the team," she says. She says, now remember, at this point, the individual had not been identified. I just said I had a very bad experience in my last massage. And since she had made the referral, the woman says, "You don't have to tell me, but out of curiosity, was it Deshaun Watson?" She guesses who it was without being told. And here's what she says. And if you wonder why some of these victims did not come forward immediately, if you wonder why some of these victims are reluctant or wary, listen to the words that she puts in a direct message. So she can report to police, but from what I understand, they won't do much. So she's discouraging her to report it to the police. She goes on to say, "I can get the player personnel person for whatever team it is for her. That's who you would talk to on the team to handle it. They don't do much about the situation, though." She goes on to say, "It sucks, but it's just like a regular client. In my experience, they usually try the first time, then stop. If it's Deshaun, I'll call his manager or agent on behalf of her if she'd like. These guys are used to never being told no, and women throw themselves at them daily. It's easier said than done, but shake it off. There's nothing she could have done or can't do." Now you wonder why somebody might not come forward when this is the type of information they're being given, when they claim that they're close to the Texans and police aren't going to do anything about it. And the best thing you can do is block his number, unfollow him on Instagram, and never have any further contact from him. Also, part of package 4 is a direct message, iMessage, that makes clear that Quincy Avery, quarterback coach for Deshaun Watson, and many other quarterbacks, made at least one referral of a massage therapist to one of the victims. And I now have to do this. I didn't want to do this, but I'm going to do it. We saw just recently that the Watson team released statements from 18 individuals who claimed that they had massaged Deshaun Watson and he never did one thing wrong. And that may be true or that may not be true. I don't know. And laying aside the number of massage therapists involved and why somebody who has access to world-class therapists, world-class medical team, world-class trainers, hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of dollars of people who are on staff to do massage, why that individual would feel necessary to reach out to more than 50 massage therapists, some of which do not even specialize in massage, via Instagram, and insist that he sees their pictures and tells them what to wear, and insist that it be aligned. Lay aside that question. Here's what I think you should know. One of these individuals that was released said, "I've been providing massage therapy to Deshaun in 2018 and massaged him at least 40 times since then. I've never had a single uncomfortable or inappropriate experience with Deshaun." That was the statement that was released. So let me read to you the direct message that this individual sent that we now have a copy of. "I told you I stopped working with him. Yeah, why? Because I was hearing too much stuff about him messing with other people, like other therapists and estheticians. He's been doing a lot the last 3 or 4 months. I even told his ass he needed to be careful because his name's getting around. I just hope don't nobody call me to question me." That's 2 different stories. Now, am I suggesting that the 18 women had bad experiences? I don't know. Am I suggesting there's a reason they come forward? I don't know. That's the questions for you to ask. But what I do know is that what was said publicly by this one individual and what is said privately were 2 completely different things. Now, what we're going to do now, other than provide these documents to you, is I'm going to have Cornelia read a statement from another victim. It's very difficult to read. Cornelia, please introduce the person. This is one of the 22 plaintiffs. She has the courage to release her name. She had the courage, she was told by her therapist, write a letter to Deshaun Watson, not to deliver it to him, but to help you in trying to get past, if you can, what he did to you. Cornelia?
Thank you, Tony.
Can we? Leave those mics.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony. This is a very brave young woman who came forward to us. Now, she wants this letter that she wrote to Deshaun Watson to be read as well. She was gracious enough to give me the permission to read her letter on her behalf. Her name is Lauren Baxley. Remember her name. When you reached out to me through Instagram, I was excited to work with you. I've had the opportunity to work with many athletes, and as massage therapy is an important component to athletic performance, I took it seriously that you would entrust me with your physical recovery. You asked how long I had been a therapist, and I told you 11 years. I watched a few YouTube clips of quarterbacks during games, carefully making mental notes of the pivoting, sprinting, and even sacking that occurs in order to best prepare myself for your unique needs. When you requested a pre-consultation phone call, I was happy to oblige. You detailed a few items of concern, your privacy and areas of desired focus. You made sure to use the words, quote-unquote, professional, made sure to use the words, quote-unquote, professional and quote-unquote, non-sexual. Though I wondered a bit when you mentioned that it was, quote-unquote, difficult for you to find a therapist who was, quote-unquote, comfortable working with you. Certainly, if all you wanted was professional work, maybe other therapists were simply starstruck by your local celebrity. I could not know at that point. You mentioned needing extra focus in your gluteal area, which is standard for anyone, particularly an athlete who requires massive sprinting power and short bursts of speed. You texted, "We still good?" shortly before your appointment on June 2nd. I confirmed and gave you parking instructions while you repeated your privacy concerns. You asked again if we had privacy space. I said yes. Then you asked if you could shower before your service. I found that a little strange, but if you were coming from a training session, not abnormal. I said you could shower beforehand. When you arrived, I had you sign a consent form for massage treatment. Then I showed you the shower room and massage room, directing you to get on the massage table face down and under the sheets after your shower. I stepped out to give you privacy and space and closed the doors between us. When you confirmed that you were ready for your massage, I entered the room and was both shocked and sickened to find you completely nude, face down. Your full rear was exposed, as well as your scrotum. I quickly covered you with a hand towel as you tried to insist that you were both uncomfortable by the towel and you didn't mind being exposed. I said that I minded, and as I attempted to start the session, you clearly directed me away from a therapeutic glute massage toward your anus. Every boundary from professional and therapeutic to sexual and degrading, you crossed or attempted to cross. You insisted that I not use my knuckles or forearms, but that I use my fingers for digital stimulation, which is an ethical violation of massage practice when working in the gluteal area. I compromised by attempting to use the lateral border of my hand. I did not want to touch you, but my terror kept me in autopilot, and I continued to the best of my ability to give you therapeutic treatment. But at this point, it was clear that's not what you were seeking. When you turned over, you again exposed yourself, this time your penis. When I covered your groin area, you complained again that the very soft towel I have provided was itchy and rough. At that point, I carefully covered your groin with a softer headrest cover, pulling the towel out from under that so as not to expose you.
You were aroused and removed the cover when I was working on your upper quad area, at which time you moved in such a way that your penis touched my hand. You then told me to just grab it if it was in my way. This happened multiple times, and I felt as if the session time was spent trying not to be sick, not have an outburst, and keep you covered. In those minutes, I considered my past, present, and potential clients who were connected to you through the Texans franchise in your social life. With your millions of fans and followers, with your resources and income, I felt both powerless and trapped. My work contract with my building was tied to my lease, and at the snap of your fingers, I knew my good reputation, my home, and my career might be lost. Other than my massage license, I had very little education to fall back on in hopes of finding supportive income. My anger and disgust burned within me, both at you and at myself. My false sense of shame in the way I had been cornered did not sit well with my outspoken nature against abuse of any kind. I have been angry at you for so many reasons since that day in June. I am furious that the talented and hardworking young black man that gave so many children inspiration is nothing more than a predator with power. I am heartbroken for your family, for your loved ones, for those coming to terms with the fact that your charitable work and good guy persona are nothing more than a meticulously designed facade to keep your victims silent and second-guessing themselves. How can such a good man do such terrible things, and with frequency and total disregard for his abuse victims? You are not a good man. Anything good that you have done is poisoned by your true nature. Maybe you suffered abuse yourself in the past, and maybe you have genuinely attempted to convince yourself as much as us, your victims, and the general public that you are without fault. Maybe you need intensive and professional long-term help. But that does not humanize you or the terrors you have inflicted upon countless powerless women. I have written this upon the recommendation of my trauma therapist to forgive myself for not speaking up sooner, to forgive myself for not being braver. But I've also written this so that you can know, without excuse or justification, that you have deeply and irreversibly brought terror to me and others. There is trauma associated with unwanted sexual contact and assault in a place that's meant to bring peace and therapy. But there are even deeper terrors that you have brought in my life. The terror that my partner might not believe me. The fear of abandonment and loss of my job. I have had fears of being attacked in my own home or business after reading comments from your fans and supporters. I have felt nausea and heartbreak over seeing accusations that my pursuit of justice is an attempt at receiving fame or money. Be assured, I have worked with far more wealthy clients and with clients with far more global celebrity. None of them have perpetrated sexual misconduct towards me, only you. I initially came forward to offer solidarity to other women, but I have since realized that I am deserving of justice as well. I hope the court of law brings that justice, and that you're stripped of both your power and ability to hurt more women, and that you undergo intensive therapy. Lauren Baxley.
Okay, we'll take just a couple of questions because this has been going on a while. If there's any questions, we'll take them. If not, we'll conclude.
Could you just spell the name of the second one you just for the sake of it?
Sure, first name is Lauren, Lauren, last name Baxley, B like boy, AXLEY.
How many of your clients ultimately make complaints to
That is completely up to them. I think since at least 2, perhaps 3 have done so already. There's others that are considering it. I can tell you, and this is again based on reports, because I wasn't involved in it, but that it's the Houston Police Department was extremely cooperative, professional, compassionate, but it's, as you've heard here, it's a very intense process. It's very intense. I I obviously am not discouraging anyone from making that report. It's incredibly important. Keep in mind there are other jurisdictions involved and other types of reports that might be made. But until that happens, we won't have any comment on that.
Hi, Tony. Vanessa Richardson from KPRC. You said the Texans provided Watson with massage tables a couple of times. Do you know what they do, or?
I do not. I do not, but I think we'll find out. I mean, they certainly knew that he was getting massages. There's no doubt from direct messages. I'm not suggesting in any way they knew what was going on during these sessions. I think at some point, when you have all the resources available to Deshaun Watson, and you know that he is going elsewhere at some frequency, you have some obligation to ask some questions. But I'm not making any comment about the Texans and what they knew and when they knew it.
Ms. Solis submit that first complaint on Friday, criminal complaint?
Say it again.
Did Ms. Solis submit the first criminal complaint on Friday?
That was another client.
I think that's a sign of.
Anybody from when he was innocent?
No,
I'd like to ask Ms. Elise a question. She is.
no, she's not taking any questions.
Tony, right now 22 filed lawsuits, 5 have turned away. Any possibility more are coming, whether it be here in Harris County, in Fulton County, or in LA County?
I don't know, but I will say this, that they hear from Ashley Solis. Maybe they will, because I think we all realize the bravery and courage involved here for her to step forward and do this in front of, I'm nervous with all you people here. I can only imagine how she must be feeling. I think we got to really remember that it takes a lot of courage to step forward, but hopefully if there are additional women out there, and I'm not suggesting don't call me if you don't want to call me. There's thousands upon thousands of lawyers in this town, but come forward. I think it's important.
Can we get the spelling of Mrs. Elise's name?
So,
ASHLEY, Ashley Solis, SOLIS.
And when it comes to hearing that he brought in possible victims from other states to Houston to victimize them, does this cross into anything like trafficking or anything like that when it comes to bringing in victims to sexually assault them and then fly them back home?
that's a question you should ask somebody else.
Tony, when did you first talk to Mrs. Elise?
Okay, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Well, folks, there we go. Dave is saying, is there any fields or proof other than the words of these who are making a claim against Watson? I haven't seen any. All I know is I would, if I were Deshaun Watson's team, I purely and simply would come out with a statement right now, and I wouldn't waste time with it. I wouldn't let that sit, because this is, there were 800, almost 1,000 people viewing that. This is going to become the word of the day. And, look, Tony got it right, okay? My criticism was, hey, my friend Gloria Allred always brings people that are filing accused to meet the press. She insists on it. Tony didn't do that. And he set up a strategy that made it look just like he was simply trying to defame Deshaun's character, which is still the case. But I will say this. I would simply put out a statement that Deshaun Watson continues to insist that he is innocent and looks forward to proving his case in court. I would leave it at that for now, and then go to work, because there are a lot of questions. Why would a massage therapist sign an NDA to begin with, as opposed to how you handle your business? You have a risk management, and it says these are the things that we will provide and will not provide, rather than provide a gray area. Signing an NDA, okay, this is a great question. Dave says, why do they wait so long to say something against him? Because Deshaun wasn't making noise about wanting a black head coach. Deshaun Watson actually forced. I mean, let's think about this, okay? All right. Tony entered the minds of the jury with his press conference. No, look, Tony got it right. The first time he screwed it up, but this time he got it right. Okay, that pure and simple. He completely reversed his approach and got the women he says he represents to talk, at least some of them, and the one of them. Let's not get carried away. One of them. All right, that's what Gloria Allred does. And as I said before, Gloria would never, ever pursue a case like this the way Tony started out, and that's why I didn't believe him. Now there's a gray area, but there are more questions, because the question is, if a person signs an NDA, it means they're agreeing to do something the person has asked them to do. They didn't have to sign the NDA. I don't mean in terms of keeping quiet. I'm talking about simply in terms of agreeing to the actions. All right. And they had every they had every chance to say no. But what happened? I mean, to me, it really seems like they said, well, gee, we're not going to get a lot of money, or they expected more money than they got. So they signed this, they agree, he pays what, $300, and they think that's all. And so word gets around that he asks for these things and signs an NDA, and yet doesn't pay a lot of money. But they agree to do it, and they sign the NDA. And my point is, if you're signing an NDA to do something, it means that you yourself know that what you are being asked to do is not something that you want others to know about. So this could go where this could go, depending on how far he chooses to take it. I don't know. Also, the Texans are being roped in here. So if the Texans are being roped in here, now the question is to the NFL, hey, do you know about how the Texans themselves are governing? And it gives Deshaun an out, because Deshaun could turn around and say, you know what? I didn't know I was being set up or entrapped by my team. He could say that, okay? So, and that would be wild, okay? It just looks like it really looks like there's a lot of questions, okay? Signing the NDA is a smoking gun. It is. Smoking bomb, yeah. They accepted D. Watson's money and his tips. Yeah. Hey, Dave, call in. I want to get your thoughts on this or maybe, you know what? I'm going to do this a different way. I'm going to invite, I'm going to put out the link here. And if you want to be on camera and share your thoughts, okay, there's the StreamYard link. Okay, you can do that, and then we can have a good conversation. That's a public link that allows you to, get on camera and express your view and have a conversation. All right. He says, Zany, this is bigger than a gun. Yeah, it's a bomb. It's a bomb. I saw that, King. It's a bomb. Yeah, it's a smoking bomb. Yeah, an NDA. Why would you have them? Why would you sign an NDA? And, why would you do that? And for me, this climate about belief, it's not a matter of not believing a woman, but you also have to, I'm going to remind everybody of why this is important at this time, and you will get here's. Hey Clarence, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
You look relaxed, my man.
Yeah, I am. Hey, yeah, but my question is, I mean, if this truly happened, what they saying about Deshaun Watson, why all of a sudden when this man saying that he want out of Houston, all of a sudden, to me, this sound like one of those Bill Cosby setups, like they did to Bill Cosby. When he wanted to buy NBC, all of a sudden all these women came from out of nowhere,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And now that this man want out, because if I'm not mistaken, when he first joined Houston, didn't he donated his first check to a female?
Yeah,
His whole
he sure did. He sure did.
uh,
I think you know what I think it's about. I think it's about Deshaun basically asserting a great deal of power and saying
yeah.
he wants a black coach. He wanted Eric Bieniemy. Remember that?
Right. Yeah, from Kansas City.
Right. And then there. Oh, here's Mr. Brown. Hey, Mr. Brown, how you doing?
Good. How you guys
What's
doing?
up there, Mr. Brown? What's going on?
How you doing? How you doing?
Pretty
All
good.
right.
Yeah.
Nice to see y'all. Nice to see y'all.
Yeah. Let me answer your question, Clarence. Clarence, Eric Bieniemy was the one that Deshaun wanted as a coach, and then they're going to have
Right.
a parade for Deshaun, and Deshaun went publicly and said, "Hey, everybody, calm down," and everything. Deshaun had the Texans by the head. I mean, he was literally in control of their fortunes and forced them to hire a black coach. It may not be what he wanted, but he forced them to do something I think the Texans wanted to do.
Right.
And then he was going to leave. So now they're thinking, "Oh my God, we can't get our signing bonus back."
Yeah.
So
You know they're mad about that.
right. Plus, the guy was on Deshaun had his yacht. He had a lot of 25. But the one thing he didn't have, and the one thing I always criticized the NFL about, having been in social league since 1993, is you take young black men, you give them a ton of money, but you don't put around them any protection. Like Fred Lane Jr. was my cousin. His wife killed him and his family, her family, because they wanted his money and they lied about it, wouldn't let us talk to him. Last time I talked to him, 2 months before he was killed. She said it was domestic violence. It wasn't. Can you imagine what happened today? Fred Jr. would have been twice by his wife and then by the police. So, and then of course Emmett Till, and then of course there's this gentleman Chris Cooper, the Central Park border guy.
Yeah.
Who was? I mean, were it not for, I'm going to get this. Were it not for the cell phone camera, all right? That girl, Amy Cooper, could have had him. Could definitely, right here it is. Could definitely have had him. Remember that guy? And she's like, she would have had him arrested by the police. Remember that?
Yeah.
So my point is, it's really important, to have. That's why we have jury trials. That's why we have a democracy. Put the truth to Mr. Compton, how you doing, my man?
Mr. Compton.
Yeah. Hey, Mr. Compton, before we get in order, Mr. Brown, what are your thoughts on this? You just joined us.
My thoughts on this is it's just not enough evidence for me to pick a side as yet. I'm not seeing enough. Like he was detailing flying the girl out and everything. That was a whole bunch of nothing. Like just talking like, oh, we flew her out, paid for the Airbnb, paid for the Uber. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear what he did, like on the letter. Like the letter was more convincing than anything, but I just need to see more evidence, man. It's like I'm not going to pass judgment on Deshaun until I see more, like definitive evidence. Until then, I just waiting and watching. That's it.
I'm waiting for a statement from Deshaun's representatives who I've been on the phone with.
Yeah.
So that's they're working on something, that they basically believe. Also, they also say that there's a lot there. I don't want to put words in their mouth, but I think what they're working up is going to take this into an entirely other direction. If I were doing this right now, I would say basically that Mr. Watson is innocent, and he looks forward to clearing his name in court. And I would
say something.
Yeah, say something. But when you say nothing, it invites what we're seeing. I think. But hey, look. There's also the Texans, and it depends on where Deshaun wants to take this, because there is a kind of an underbelly of behavior that I think has been pointed to by the mention of the Texans being involved. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
And the Texans supplying with massage therapists.
Were they involved? Did they say that? Did I miss that?
They said they got equipment from the Texans, and that apparently
so he borrowed one of the tables.
Yeah, and Tony didn't go so far as to implicate his friends, because he has friends with the Texans.
Right.
All right. But this is one of those things now where it can go in any direction. I mean, and I knew that would happen if they got to a point where they had people coming out to talk, right? And women talk. But now it's in a direction. I think the black eye is on the NFL because they have these rookie symposiums, but it's just like older black dudes yelling at each other, right? Yelling at the young guys, and it's not. Hey, I'll give you an example. What I'm talking about when Tim Couch was drafted by the Browns as quarterback. My friend Kofi Barner was chief administrative officer of the Browns, and we were here in Atlanta at the Atlantic Grill, and because the Super Bowl was in Atlanta, and Couch was walking through. And Kofi was pointing out, "Oh, you see that? He's got one guy in front of him, another guy. They were booking and protecting him." And the NFL doesn't have like an approved list of massage therapists, an approved list of women you date, everything to cocoon and protect these guys. And so what happens to them it places a bad light on the league, because the league has no infrastructure to protect their players, particularly their black players. And I think that's right. That's right. Really alarming. I mean, these are kids coming out, hormones are raging like heck, and you're just going to let them go out there and be, subject to society and give them a lot of money and think you've helped them? It doesn't help.
Right.
No.
Anyway, you guys.
Speaking from someone who's 24 years old, you know what I mean? Like, if I was just to run into that much money, I kind of feel like I could do a lot of things that normal people can't do. I kind of feel like that's the situation here with Deshaun Watson. I feel like probably might have said like one or two inappropriate things off of ego, but I feel like it's a bit of exaggeration coming from the stories that I'm hearing. But again, we have to wait for evidence and everything to come out, right? So
still it up.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Compton, what do you think?
A lot.
We're all ears. We lost Mr. Brown somehow. I guess we're gonna.
Yeah, y'all tell me about this letter they just got through reading from.
We got
this
the
lady.
back.
The letter?
Yeah, Mr. Compton, what you think about that letter?
I don't quite know what to think. I mean, it's my thought is that he had to look everything. There was a letter, there was a script, everything. My point is,
his script.
The letter is the letter. What I go by is the NDA.
Right.
They signed an NDA, and the other thing that I go by is that does anybody have a phone evidence? Do you have like cameras in your offices?
That's right.
Okay.
Proof.
Yeah, this is the 21st century.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have cameras? Does anyone have a smartphone to prove what they're saying? Right.
That's what I'm saying.
my point is, whatever this is right now, it's not a great light for Deshaun. So he's got to really, at this point, with what's been established today, he's really has to go to another level to determine his innocence. We have Mr. Pete. I think welcome to Zenny 62. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good, guys. And just been listening to you, Zenny, on this whole Deshaun Watson stuff lately.
Yes, sir.
And man, I just gotta, like, to me, it seems like it's all about money when the media is just simply out here trying to throw that in people's faces when they say it's not about the money. That's just my opinion on it. It's sad, and it's all he say, she say. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. And like I said, I go back to Chris Cooper or Emmett Till. And I'm sorry, but we're in a society where I don't think we've still gotten over it. You realize that the woman that accused Emmett Till of what she said he did, she came back in 2005 and admitted she lied about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's still walking around.
I forgot about that. True.
Sure.
But here's the thing. These allegations of Deshaun Watson have been going out for quite some time, right? These women that it happened a long time ago. For example, like if my daughter were to come home and tell me something like this happened that same day, either the cops are gonna get called or I'm gonna be booking a massage or something with Deshaun Watson, and we're gonna have a talk in person, something. But for this to be so long after the fact, and then this woman comes out and says, "Oh, I'm heartbroken," or whatever. She's so much trauma she's dealing. If it was so traumatic and you needed, all of that, you should have went to the police a long time ago, because that's when it showed it was so traumatic. It's not so traumatic if you never filed the police report. Go ahead, guys.
That's right.
No, you're right. That's why it looks like a shakedown still, because to me, I remember there was a woman that was said to have been trying to extort Deshaun setting him up. And so how do we know that there wasn't a ring of women who decided, because they know each other, hey, we're going to set ourselves up for a big payday as a group?
Yeah.
It doesn't make it any better, right? And it doesn't make it any better at all. It's in fact, it actually makes it worse. It really does. So, and Sean probably thought, I don't know what he was thinking, because I'm waiting for, like I said, I'm waiting for the statement from the attorney, which has not come yet. And let me see if I can get an update. Someone, and I would say we are all waiting. All waiting.
Yeah, let's hear from Mr. Compton.
Yeah.
I have feedback.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What was hey, who was it that said they were going to send some evidence or something? Was that somebody here, or was that Mr. David? Yeah, well, you were going to say something first of all. You said a lot to say. I'm going to shut up and fire away, David. David, you're on, man.
Yeah, I have feedback.
Oh, you have feedback. I like it. We can hear you now. We can
anyway. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well. Okay. Well, anyway, so it made me think about the Cosby case. People coming out sometime later wanting to, and I'm saying people, I don't want to, but nevertheless, coming out sometime later to go ahead and make an accusation or accuse and so forth. I think, like, I'm not sure who said it, was it Clarence or one of the other guys who said, well, if my daughter came home or to tell me something like that, I'd jump on it right away, as opposed to waiting some 2, 3, 4 years later or 10 years later just to go ahead and say something.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it doesn't make no sense.
No, it doesn't.
And so with the thing of coming out years later, and just to go ahead and make that accusation, you couldn't commit a crime on the street. and or do something of the sort, just to go ahead and come out years later just to say, well, you stole something or whatever it was 10 years ago.
Yeah. No.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's
These accusations are really bad accusations to have on a human being. Let's just be realistic here. These are one of the worst accusations to put on someone, a sexual predator. Nobody wants to even live next to a sexual predator.
right. But that's the thing, though. It's like they say he didn't do anything wrong, per se, right? But then, here's what I have a problem with. Okay, there was a TCU study in 2015. All right, who said basically, I'm going to get something out of the way. Hey, Ken, it's not a matter of defending anybody, and how do you know he is? So again, it's a matter, so I mean, let me put it this way. How would you like that if somebody said things about you that in the middle of you're going to a massage therapist, maybe that massage therapist was doing something to you and you didn't know it. Next thing you know, maybe you didn't pay her enough money. All right. As was the case in a couple of them. So my point is you need a jury trial for this stuff. That's where it's gotten to. There are a number of women who are absolutely right where they say people don't believe them when they complain about things. But there's also a history of black men being wrongly incarcerated for accusations that in point of fact never happened. This is both of those worlds, okay? Both of those worlds. Without question, without question. And and I'm still monitoring my email to make sure that I've got this quite literally set. So the minute they put out something, I'll have it, and all I have are things from the White House, which isn't bad. But the whole point, that's all I got. I don't have anything as a statement. Let me check my spam file here, nope, nothing in spam. Haven't missed anything at all. And
I don't think it's the case with Deshaun Watson where Buddy just put on that comment. I don't think it's more defending him. I think, at least for me, when I speak, I'm on the line of I just don't believe it. It's not defending him. It's just not. I don't believe in it because the media will sit here and drag the bad of it. They will put all the publicity on the bad because that's what people want to see. They don't want to sit here and listen to, Deshaun Watson also has 18 women representing his side on the good side. That's not going to sell in the media. People are not going to be, tuned into that. But at the same time, as a person, as a Deshaun Watson, he is innocent right now. There's no criminal cases. So, like I said, it's just I lean to this to being a he say, she say, and Deshaun Watson winning this case, in my opinion.
This was, to me, a weakness in that there's not a healthy black media, because if there was something like a healthy Ebony or Jet, some gossip columnists would have been writing about this a long time ago. But you don't, and now you have people quoting organizations that are mostly white that tell their people don't talk about race. ESPN does that. They have their folks, the NFL Network, same thing. They're always dancing around the subject rather than bringing up race, economics, and just the real aspects of cases like this. But again, I'll say this one more time. Tony Buzbee did get it right, because last week I said, you know what? My friend Gloria Allred always brings out women who are truly the victims. I remember Herman Cain's mistress. I interviewed her at the Night of 100 Stars Oscar party. Same thing with General Petraeus' friend mistress. I interviewed her also at the Night of 100 Stars Oscar party. Why is that special? Well, that's where it was, and the way the night party is set up, you've got a row of press from all the top organizations there. I was honored to be part of it. and it's not done anymore, unfortunately, because the Noby Waters got sick. He's the producer. But at any rate, it was an Oscar viewing party where some of the top stars like Lou Ferrigno and Lee Majors, they all come and you interview them. And right there, Gloria Allred, and if you have any doubts, all you gotta do is go to 1962 and type Gloria Allred or Night of One of the Stars and see the videos I have. That's how you do it. So by the end of her run through the red carpet, she had everybody talking about her client. Everybody. And it was like, whoa. So, I mean, he had no problem getting the press and altering it. And Tony didn't do it that way. And that's why I felt, hey, you know what? This is a sham. And then he started making more about him. But whatever happened, that's the other part about this is what happened between the lines. In other words, what was it that took Tony to change his tactic? And who made him do it? And then was it someone with the Texans? I mean, there's so many questions.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was the owner.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah, because, that owner, though, he made, remember that year, I think Donald Trump was still president, but that year he made, what he called it, a slave camp or something like that.
Oh, well.
I wouldn't be surprised about
asylum.
that.
In fairness to Bob.
What do you call it?
Well, he said this won't be ran by like a prison asylum or something like that.
In fairness to Bob McNair, I have to defend him. Bob, first of all, is dead. Bob McNair is dead.
Yeah.
Cal McNair is Bob's son.
He's the owner now.
Right, but Bob, I will say this. Bob has been a personal friend to me. And I'll explain a little bit on why I say that, because I headed the effort to bring the Super Bowl to Oakland in 1999. I was invited to my first NFL owners meeting as a presenter, and was invited to Wilson Cocktail Party. The first person I met, because I got to the Wilson Cocktail Party like 40 minutes early, was Bob McNair. He was sitting in the room by himself. We sat and we had a great long conversation. Very nice man. He's never refused to interview from me or request. Always asked how I was doing. In other words, he always gave me an open door to ask if I wanted to work in Texas. I never took it. Okay? So I think when a person says, like, I'm CEO of my company, it's a C Corp, and anybody in that position would say that they don't want the prisoners running the asylum.
I agree.
Now if I say it, it takes on a different connotation because I'm black.
Right.
When Bob says it, who's a wealthy guy, it's, oh my God, you're talking about slave owners. But Bob's general manager at the time was Rick Smith, smooth brother. Okay.
All right.
There are a number of people who work for the Texans who are consummate professionals who are African American. All right. So I can't hang that on him, and I can't. At some point, I always say, like, to me, the best gift the NFL could give the black community is for the owners like Jerry Jones. Because I had something I told Jerry at the cocktail party that the Raiders held that I guess you got into because a friend of mine was a tech investor and said, you need to be at this party. It was a CES in 2019. Anyway, in 2007, I said I just started sports business simulations. We make online simulations, sports organizations for use in the classroom. And I had an idea for something called the Dallas Cowboys sim world based on the game I already made that was being used at that point in 40 colleges and high schools in the United States and in London. And Jerry said in 2007, get that proposal to me, just like that, okay? Because I sent it to the Cowboys, but it went to some intern who was like 4 levels down. Big no-no. But when Jerry said that to me, it made me think, hey, do I have my act together? I looked at the proposal and I didn't send it because I was scared I was going to be rejected. Word to everybody out there. If somebody gives you an open door, take it. Never fear that you're going to not perform well. I did. Okay? Okay? So my point is the greatest gift the league could give to the black community is just simply owners meeting with blacks in business who want to be or who are coming out or their own players. All right? Talking to them about having business confidence, having the confidence to be yourself in society. and what that means. Because when we grow up, like I grew up mostly my mom, but I remember meeting these two women at a party who were like in their early 20s, both white. Their dad was grooming them to be CEOs at that age, talking to them because he was running his own business. All right, so that's the language that needs to happen with us, but it needs to be But the NFL is the best organization to transfer that to its players, particularly its black players, and it doesn't do that. Any thoughts, by the way? I don't.
To the point, Zenny, where you said you don't believe that those words were racist about the prison. I agree with you, man. I don't think that was more of a racist
Yeah.
remark. I just when you really pay attention to how he said it, it's kind of true, because if you think about the prisons are run by the prisoners. The guards don't run it. So it's I understand it, and I never took it as racism either. But at the same time, I don't think no team in the NFL wants their players running the organization. That's why these owners, they hire personnel to have this. Now, do you want to run your organization through this player because of his abilities? Then yes, that's how you do it, but not just give the full power to the player, because there's people on top of him, that make the money and stuff like that.
Now, I'll say all that. Having said all that, I will say this, okay? Mr. McNair's passed away. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
The guy that I came to know that same year, like I said, what was his name? Jamie Root, who was his right hand, and had worked for the Redskins prior to that, has now quit. I personally believe that Jamie's departure had something to do with Deshaun. And I'll say that for reasons that I don't think I should say right here, okay? But Jamie Roots is a friend of mine. Any doubts, just go to Zenny62, type his name. You see, we're talking at Lee Steinberg's party. I've known Jamie a long time. So there's another problem. And depending on where Deshaun takes it, it could get really, really messy. Really messy. It's already messy. Mr. Compton.
There is a serious question that I'd like to ask. The question is that, and I go back to the days of the old AFL, when the AFL got started. Okay, they were a separate league from the NFL.
Yeah.
And then it seems like that the NFL couldn't do without, the competition and everything, so they joined league. Right now, as it stands, the majority of the league is black. Okay, they're black. They're black players. They're damn good black players. But the part that gets me is that why don't the black players get their own backing and start their own league and separate from the NFL? Because the NFL is riding on the backs of those black players. That's where that money's coming in at. That's the part I don't understand.
I understand it because, again, I go back to this. The majority of players are young. Some of them are in their teens.
Yeah.
Right? And they don't know all that. And so they're quite literally placed into an automatic vacuum they're taken advantage of from jump. And should the NFLPA be the organization that defends them? Yes. Is the NFLPA not doing its job from that perspective? Yes. Absolutely. Because it's not dealing with some realities that are hurting these players. And but to answer your basic question, Dave, there needs to be an organization established that then has the expertise to basically say, look, we're going to escape it, but we're going to take the TV money with us. Because it's the TV money that makes the NFL go. You have to remember, there's no congressional legislation that says that there has to be an NFL structured as it is. It's a private business. It used to call itself a nonprofit. There was an effort to get ex-players it was started by former Stanford football player who's been on this show. And, the Freedom Football League is what it's called, but it never quite really took off. It's hard to take off without having that dollar. In fact, that's what you need for all these leagues. You need a television sugar daddy or sugar mama that's gonna put you out there and give you money. Like that's why the XFL didn't survive beyond the year that it did originally. That's what my first online game was called, the XFL Syndrome.
Yeah.
And I thought that before as well, Compton. That was a good stuff. But what I want to add is what Zenny just finished saying. The NFL just did another TV deal. What was it, for another 10 years?
Yeah.
So you can forget about any league being created for the next 10 years at least.
Well, it's like, I don't know about that, because here's the advantage that another league would have. The internet. If you know how to skillfully use it and, structure these like little cottage deals together, you can put something else that's monetized. Why? Because people are going to want to say, hey, look, football's popular. And then you have women that are playing football and they're getting better at it. I'd love to watch women's play football. So there's another area. So you could cobble together a pretty good, alternative league just off the internet alone, because you know what? Of this thing is powerful. All right?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it's crazy powerful. So it's possible to do. It's a matter of luck, first of all, and negotiation, second of all. There are a lot of people. Plus, also, look, you got beyond the United States, you have the Saudi Arabia government that'll finance organizations, because I'm going to make a proposal myself. There are a lot of avenues out there to go after. Doesn't necessarily mean to succeed, but I'm saying at least have the corporate structure to start, right? I'm starting to form some ideas myself. Thanks, man. David, you're still on your plus, Mr. Compton.
You know what, Zenny?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll let Compton go.
Oh, David, we're waiting on you. I think David's screen is frozen. Now he's moving. Okay. I think.
No, I'm still here.
Okay. Yeah, that scowl kind of like.
Well, you just been saying something that just drove through my head right now, and I just can't even fathom it. The phone is very powerful. Why didn't these women even bring up something with the Deshaun Watson stuff when it first happened? They could have went on their Instagram. They could have recorded. They could have said something on their post, or this guy made me feel uncomfortable. They could have done something with their social media, with their phone, or even dial 911. Why they gotta do all of this to Deshaun Watson now? Come on, man. This is sad, man. I'm starting to hate this Deshaun Watson stuff, man, because it's just a situation where if it was a different situation where he robbed somebody, it could be, but you're talking about women.
Right.
This is like the nastiest stuff you could portray somebody, and it's just I don't believe it. I'm not buying it, but at the end of the day, the courts are gonna have to make their judgment and with their evidence, and I do believe they're not gonna have evidence to do that.
No, there's precedent for a sports player being accused of this sort of thing and basically pushing it all the way to court as a soccer player. And it turned out that it was indeed a type of entrapment deal that was set up by the soccer team itself. Okay. So this is starting to look like that. And hold on a second. I won't get sued here. This is starting to look like he has the details of that kind of possible outcome. All right.
Right.
And it doesn't look good for the Texans, because if the Texans, if people in the Texans are supplying Deshaun Watson with the venue in which to do this sort of thing and then know about it, then the question is, did they turn around when it was convenient to then implicate him? Okay, that's the big issue here. That's the biggest issue. You know.
Yeah, I think once he his representative, all of them come out with, what they got, proof of what they got, because I feel like he just like Pete just said, with cameras, and women love to be on social media. And by them not saying nothing on social media about all this, because if a man actually did stuff like that to them, they done talked about, you done heard something about it on social media. Even if you didn't, somebody probably would have done heard something.
Absolutely.
And you know what I'm saying? So now it just, to me, all of a sudden this man want to get out of Houston, and all this stuff just come from out of nowhere. I mean, the nastiest stuff you can throw at especially a black man. And they always figured this the best thing to throw at a black man if you want to hurt him anyway.
Yeah.
Saying that, he did this to a woman, and,
Still
and
sure.
all that.
Mhm.
And, but like he said, if they got phones, they didn't record nothing there. They didn't take no pictures, nothing like that. So until, like I say, it's a he say, she say. But they gonna go more lean toward more the women than the man anyway. Especially with what's going on down there in Houston with
And
Deshaun.
I have a pleasure to be with three gentlemen here who have way more life experience than myself. And I want to know, this is the worst one out of all the Deshaun Watson allegations that make 0% sense to me. I could understand the Kellen Winslow, where you go and you grab a woman because
Yeah,
you're strong and you actually rape a woman. That can happen.
right.
But explain to me how you force a woman's head to give you oral. And like, how do you do that? How do you force a woman's head to go down and do those type of allegations that Deshaun Watson? To me, it's almost impossible.
And not get bit.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So not only do you have to force the head down, you also gotta force a mouth open.
That's
I
right.
know it
That's
sounds
right.
bad, but it's
Okay.
almost impossible
Yeah.
to do that, guys. It's almost like
Yeah.
some of these allegations some
I
people
think
just
we
need
get
to
the
look
picture.
at them, yeah, and realize it. Like, come
Yeah,
on, man. Like,
I
this
want
is
to
too far.
like, hey, I
Yeah.
gotta maintain my community standards here, man.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I'm
TMI.
sorry. It's just that you gotta understand. Some of these things blow my mind.
But Pete, you know what though? In
Yeah.
defense of you, okay, I have to apologize because Tony Buzbee set this conversation up by having
Yeah, he did.
his blonde assistant read all this salacious stuff, right?
That's
So
right.
I'm like, oh, what are you doing?
Hmm.
Oh,
That's what
hey,
I'm saying. Yeah.
I
Stuff
apologize.
that she was reading.
I
Come on,
apologize.
man.
Hey, Pete, I apologize.
I mean, it's cool. It's cool. To each his own. And at the end of the day, if these accusations are true on Watson, and everybody's gonna know he's just some slime person. Now,
Yeah.
for people to be here and accuse him already, like he's the bad guy, those are the ones that I'm not too fond over, and I don't like their comments. I don't like reading them
Right.
because we all gotta let it play out. Well,
Yeah.
I'm on the side, I'm on Deshaun Watson side, and I have my reasons. Some are on the women's side, and they have their reasons. That's fine. I don't sit here and look at you as a different person because you want to go by those accusations. But at the end of the day, I think people just need to let it play out
Play out.
before you fully judge someone
Yep.
and their
Yeah.
and their life.
Because what I'm looking at though, and I have to say though, is I still have this question, and my question is, all right, why did you not just not go through? If he wanted to sign, you sign the NDA. Why not just stop there? Say, hey, look,
Yeah.
you, right? They could have done that, and it could have been in game. All right. So,
Yep.
and now I'm still not. I'm not. I don't quite know what they want. It's they say he didn't do anything. Like he didn't. One person says he forced him, okay, but then the rest say he didn't. And then it's like when you read the lawsuits, these are things that are hard to prove.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's and if here's the problem that Tony Buzbee has. If he went out and cast a broad net and said, hey, if you are out there and you have an encounter with Deshaun Watson, get back to us. He did that. He did it trial lawyer, like he did it class action style. The danger of doing that is you get somebody, he said he had 5 people whose stories didn't check out. Well, wait a minute. That begs the other question. What was the criteria for you deciding that a story was true and not true?
Yeah.
That's a big issue. All right.
Yeah.
It's a huge issue. So if his criteria, if he has no criteria, that's a big issue. All right.
That's right.
All right. So it's, Joe is saying at the press conference, he already discredited the 18 women saying Watson didn't do anything to them. Yeah, they did. But it sets up a big mess. But I'm telling you, the organization looks bad, and all this is the Texans themselves.
Yeah,
that's the one. Well, folks, it's 2:44. Anybody want to offer some closing thoughts? I'll start. Clarence, you came in first. I'll start with you.
Well, I just hope when it's all over and they find this man innocent and stuff, he go back and sue Tony. And plus those 18 accusers are how many they got. I hope he just go back and sue them for what they trying to sue him for. Because I mean, to me, even if it was 1 or 2 the first time, why wait this long? Wait till everybody else come out to say, well, he did this to me. If you're a woman and you feel like you're a strong woman, if you got a husband at home, or even if you still stay home with your parents, you'd have went back home and told somebody.
Yeah, because if that were my wife, I would say, wait a minute, I would have say, hey, wait a minute, you know?
That's right.
You gotta protect your wife.
You definitely, and seeing you ain't gonna come back.
I'm more concerned if my wife didn't tell me. If my wife didn't tell me, I would have been angry. Like, so what did you really do?
Yeah.
You know?
See, that's what I'm saying. Exactly. So that's my thoughts.
Mr. Compton, you're next.
Yeah, like I said in the very beginning, there's a lot to say.
Yeah.
Regarding it all, and I agree with Clarence, right? That stuff should be said in the very beginning. You don't wait for some time later to come out and want to talk about it and say something. That doesn't make no sense
at all.
It doesn't make no sense. I don't know why it's allowed. You can accuse somebody of something some years later and so forth, and it's all that's beyond me, you know. And so in the cases like like with Deshaun, and there's been other cases just as well, making allegations against, and then you got saying you got women coming out. I'm not sure if they're getting together. I'm not sure if they're talking. I'm not sure if they're doing something to go as far as to want to create a case because of want to getting some money out of it. I don't know what the ulterior motive is.
Dave, Tony Buzbee actually pointed to the possibility when he ran his mouth about how we're going to talk about you, and we're all talking about you. And I'm saying, well, wait a minute. That opens up a can of worms. What do you mean? You know?
Yeah.
So, but nevertheless, you know, I'm not in agreement with how it's handled. And then people like Tony Buzbee, and there's been plenty of it's called shyster lawyers, I guess you can say.
That's them.
That no matter how wrong that something is, they want to take that wrong, try to make it a right thing. Okay, and for me, that doesn't make no sense neither. But it's obviously all about the money.
Well, before I say, I want to Pete. You're next. Are you done, Dave? You want to say more?
Yeah.
Okay, Pete, you're next.
Yeah, my thing is this whole Deshaun Watson stuff. I honestly believe it's all about the money, and I honestly believe, in my opinion, when you listen to me out, these women are heartbroken. Let's just think about it for a second. These women are heartbroken. This guy, what are they saying on the air? Oh, he messaged me through Instagram. These masseuses, right? You know how happy these masseuses got when they realized, look at Deshaun Watson messaging me. He wants They went out and told all their girlfriends, Deshaun Watson is coming to my store. They're gonna. Oh, they were so happy to have him as a customer. They probably let their own brain apart. They probably thought, hey, I look good. Deshaun Watson is gonna be my next man.
Yeah.
He probably treated them good. And then once the service was over, it was no more communication. And these women probably are mad. You know that
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I just think the public's point of view on Deshaun Watson needs to at least ease up. I know the accusations are tough, but just let's ease up a little bit. And man, I just hope this guy becomes a Miami Dolphin.
I was still nothing from people yet.
You want him in Miami, huh?
That's my quarterback, man. That's my team. No, Tua ain't no good, guys. I'll be the one to tell you. No good.
I forgot what I was going to say too. I had Dave, you said something that sparked a thought in me that I just forgot, and
old age.
No, well, in this instance, maybe, but don't. I'll wear it
up there.
Yeah, I'm proud to be a 58, man.
I wish I was 58. I'll never see it again.
There you go.
I'm in my 60s.
You guys are blessed to make it to where you guys are at, man. Have a blessed
Yeah, man.
blessed life to all of you. Blessings to the accusers and Watsons and everybody.
Yeah.
I
just hope honestly, this whole thing, I just hope we really get the truth.
Yeah.
From either side. Either side, whatever side it is, I just want the real truth so we can actually figure out who's at wrong and who's at fault.
I don't want anybody to come away with the idea that we don't believe women. That's not the point.
Right.
The point is that there are many examples today of both men and women lying about each other, and getting away with it. Okay. We just had Brian Banks was brought out of jail after how many decades? After he was false rape, right? So it's a matter of getting it right, and the timing, the timing is just so suspicious. It still is.
Yeah.
It really. So I'm waiting for this. The statement still. We haven't gotten anything. Let's see if I got a text here. I don't have a text. As of, yes. So they're working on something. Must be quite extensive. Oh, here's what I was saying. What bothers me about this whole deal is that the descriptions of what went on, like, wait a minute. The truth is always in the middle. What they're accusing him of is like borderline. It reminds me of my friend California Governor Gavin Newsom. And when he was running for governor, one of the media whatevers went back and asked a lady that he had an affair with if she had regretted it. He said, no. I mean, that put it into everything, right?
Right.
So my point is, oh, you got it, man. You got it, Pete. Hey, thanks for being Pete. You got it. God bless you, man. So, but my point is, hey, what really happened in that room that made them sign the NDA? If an NDA exists, so the next thing is they have to prove the NDA exists. There's Tony says there's a packet out there he's given the press that was there. So if the NDA is part of it, then hey, boom. I'm sure that what Watson's people are doing now is looking at all that, and they're going to have something soon. So it's almost 3:00 in the East here.
Yeah.
Mr. Compton, I owe you a sweatshirt. I owe you a hoodie. And I need you to send. I need you to send me your address and get that off to you today.
I'm not sure on how to send an address.
Oh, you can either do it that way, or you can text my number. But here's the email that I present.
Right there. Zenny at Zenny62.com.
That's me.
I will go ahead and send that address.
Thank you.
I'm charging late fees.
You know what? The greatest. If you wear the sweatshirt and you send me a picture, I'll make a star out of you and I'll pay all the late fees.
Oh man.
Now that I have you online, I'd like to be able, one side note, I'd like to be able to do what you're doing right now. Just not sure on how to get started with it.
Yeah.
I think this has been a long time. I have grown with the technology. And this for me started after I tried to bring the Super Bowl to Oakland and didn't know what I was going to do because Jerry fired me. Jerry Brown didn't like the fact that I accused him of being racist because he would never, the mayor of Oakland at the time and then later California governor, he would never make time for me to talk about with him privately in a meeting what would be the largest single day economic development Oakland ever got. And I thought I deserved that respect. He never gave it to me. He gave two blonde interns more time than he gave me. And that's my evidence, okay? And he would say, I don't have time. I remember specifically April 19th of 1999 at 4:21 in the afternoon in the lobby of the City of Oakland Administration Building. Jerry Brown said, I don't have time for you. And I wanted to talk to him about the latest developments regarding the Super Bowl. He told me that to my face. Wow. I remember it to this day, okay? So what happened was on the 21st of October of 2000, it was a Friday, we had a Joint Powers Authority meeting, and I went to talk about our Super Bowl proposal, and I discovered that there was a splinter group of CEOs representing different businesses in Oakland that had some sort of meeting with then Oakland City Council President Ignacio de la Fuente to talk about the sponsorship program that I designed. And you would think if they were really on the up and up that Ignacio would come to me and say, hey, look, we'd like for you to present what you created. What you created was, if you know how the Coliseum is set up, the Oakland Coliseum, I created a plan where a corporation could literally buy the right to have their logo presented with sheathing, the same kind of sheathing that's used on buses for advertisements.
Yeah.
Okay. And Corporation XYZ would pay $30 million for that, which would finance our entire Super Bowl bid plus change. And so I thought it was a great idea. In fact, the reason why I thought it was a great idea is it happened to be coming back on the plane from my Super Bowl workshop on August 25th of 1999 when I first came up with the idea. August 25th of 2000 when I went to the Super workshop. Not 1999. And I was on the plane. I happened to be in the same row, by the grace of God, as the head of corporate sponsorships globally for Visa. Mike, now I'm getting old because it's Mike. Mike's last name is out of my head. And, he's reaching over to tie his shoe. And I was like, holy, you gotta be kidding me. And I went, Mike. He goes, I said, Zen. He goes, yeah, that's how you do it. I said, hey, man, what do you think of the proposal that I sent? He goes, I think it's a great idea. I said, can I say that you said it was a great idea? He goes, yes, you can. Okay? That's how my life works. So I got all this out of the way. And here, the NFL, through Jim Steig, who was then the NFL's head senior vice president of special events, they call Mr. Super Bowl, told me, he asked me, he says, why is the city of Oakland and the mayor calling us to ask us questions you've already given them the answer to? They're trying to go behind my back.
What?
Yeah, okay. I wrote it. What happened was that when I found out all this was going on, and I was at the dais at the Joint Powers Authority meeting on October 21st of 2000, and I found out they were having these secret meetings behind my back, I hit the ceiling, but I didn't express it there. If I did, I would have turned into the Hulk and probably laid. All right. So I wrote an email to my board saying that I felt that the mayor of Oakland, Jerry Brown, was not comfortable with anybody who was black, who basically, was intellectually aggressive. All right. And I'm like, oh yeah, what's up, man? All this stuff, okay? That's not me. It never has been.
Yeah.
Okay. Some folks have a hard time dealing with that. Some white, some black, some in between.
Right.
I don't care.
You're getting that old Skyline touch. I like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
That's right. He could handle it.
Is it?
So I was gonna say. So basically,
is it possible to get 5 minutes of your time privately?
Yeah, sure.
5 minutes.
I'll say this, but anyway, my point is that after I found out about that, Chip Brown got a hold of Chip Johnson, rather, who was in the Chronicle, who did something I felt was not cool. Then it's not cool now. He wrote about the email, fine, but then he mentioned that my mom worked for United, and I was helping them get it. He went to his mother. And I thought, what's wrong with that? I never got over that. I never will. I never forgave Chip for doing that, because Chip at that time was playing I call it the black columnist that works for the white organization that goes after black people who have a title. That was what Chip was playing. Okay, you know what I'm talking about. It happens all. Okay,
yeah.
And that was one motivating factor for me starting Zenny 62 Media. So what happened, Dave, was that all this played out in the eye of the NFL. As then Commissioner Paul Tagliabue was saying to Jackson that they wanted to right to host Super Bowl, and I was standing there. Then the executive vice president for government relations of the league said, Zenny, if there's anything we can do for you, let us know.
Right.
And that's the heart. So I came back to Oakland. Robert Bob, who was then my boss, he was the city manager and then city administrator, said, take a week off. You deserve it. You got us. Because I got them to a place where they didn't think we were the three finalists for the right to host 2005 Super Bowl out of 11 cities. All right? Nobody thought I was going to get them that far, except me. Okay? And a handful of people that served our Oakland County Sports Commission. One of them being Lee Steinberg. That's how far back Lee is. All right. So I thought we were going to get that far, and I did. So what happened was I didn't want to ask the NFL for a job because I didn't want to get in the position of being rejected or being in a situation that might sully my relationship with the league. I wanted to do something different. So I started an economic consulting firm, and then I wound up writing with a Montclarian, and then I started a blog in 2004 called, no, the Montclarian came before that, I'm sorry. But I started a blog in 2003 called Oakland Focus. And I thought, wow. And so I started going to the Raiders draft parties. And I took a group of folks that was with me for my original venture, both Keith Dubkowski, now works for the NFL, and Anya Krotz, who's still a friend. And I was thinking, wait a minute, why can't I be in New York? So I called Joe Brown and I said, hey, Joe, remember that promise you made? He goes, yeah, Zenny, what can I do for you? I said, I want to cover the NFL draft in New York. He said 2 words, you're in.
Yeah.
That's how it started. Okay. And I thought, wow. So in my account of what I wrote the first time was on Sports Business Simulations website under NFL Draft. But and that's when I met I met this lady who was there who quite attractive. Looked, I thought, I want to find who this person is. And so I sat down, turned out she told me I interviewed her. And it's on my account. She said she wanted to be an anchor for CNN. She went to Cal. She was an intern at KTVU, and her name was Brianna Keeler. When I put up her interview, I got pestered by this guy who was a broadcast agent who wanted to contact her. I kept putting him off. I finally said, Brianna, this guy will not leave me alone. Can I pass him to you? She said, yeah. 6 months later, she's with CNN. The rest is history. Okay. So, but even for that, she won't, like, if I was in Charlotte for the 2012 convention and she knew the guy that I had partnered with, we wouldn't say, oh yeah, let's talk to Zinni. It's like, I don't know if she expected that one and anything. I was just proud she got the job.
Right.
That's how some folks are. Anyway, so my point is that I didn't know. I said, okay, now that I'm in the draft, how am I going to handle this? So I thought, since I don't have a journalism background, I'll do everything from a tech perspective. So I was the first to write an online account in 2005 of being at the draft. I was first to cover the draft in 2006 with the Super Bowl channel, with the YouTube channel, Zinni 62, the one we're on now. And then in 2007, I brought a new startup company called Ustream to do live stream there. ESPN took note, the producers there took note of my live streams and how they were being spread, because I was using Twitter as well, because I was on the Twitter launch party in 2006 at Mighty in San Francisco, all right? And they complained to the league, and they changed the rules. They called them the Zinni rules. So in 2008, they put me down in the Grand Lounge of the Radio City Music Hall, and I was like, oh, man, I was right now. I thought, wait a minute. I said, hey, wait a minute. Do all the players come here first? They said, yeah. So I get first crack at them.
All right.
I get up there. Yeah, they created a monster. All right?
You got the breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah, they gave me a break. So it's like, that's how, I mean, and that's, so it's been an iterative process in terms of how this came about, But let me do this. I'll stop because it's 3:06. I want to thank everybody for joining me. I'm going to end the broadcast. Stick around in the background, all right? Hey, everybody, we'll be back.
All right, y'all.
Too. Clarence, thank you, man.
All right, appreciate y'all. Mr. Compton.
You got it. Hey, you guys can stick around. I'm just ending the broadcast.
Yep.